Hey, it's Mark Lanier with your video thought for the day. All right, this week I'm in a strange culture for me. And right now I'm in Insadong, which is a cultural area in Seoul, South Korea. And I'm trying to learn some of the native culture. Been working on speaking Korean, not going extremely well. But it's got me thinking this week about passages in the Bible that have a cultural significance that is hard for us to see in our life if we don't think it through and study it a little bit. Some unusual stories that just strike you as strange. Take, for example, the story in 2 Kings chapter 6, the first 7 verses. I think any of us have had the experience of losing something. You just can't find it. And that's what's present in this story. Let me do it in 3 ways. First, let me tell you the story. Second, talk about a couple of important elements. And then third, we'll apply it and bring this home. The story is one where some prophets have been staying with Elisha. And they've decided that there's not enough room for them, so they're going to move on and start doing their meetings somewhere else. They decide that they're going to build some type of shelter or something, so they take their axes and their tools and they go out and they start to cut down some trees by the Jordan River. Now, as they're doing it, one of the fellows, the little kind of prophet in training, the axe head, the iron axe head comes off his axe and falls into the water of the Jordan River. Now, this was an axe he borrowed. And so he doesn't know what to do about it. Well, Elisha comes to the rescue. And Elisha fashions a stick and throws the stick in the water, and the axe head floats and is retrieved with the stick. Pretty cool miracle. But what does that have to do with us? Well, that's my second point. Let's talk about some important elements to this story. First of all, this is an important time developmentally in Israel for iron tools. Iron tools are still rather rare. We're in the Iron Age, but it's something that's very expensive. And it's something that had been borrowed. Now, the next thing we need to consider are the prophets. The prophets are people who speak on God's behalf. You got to remember also, this is at a time where people didn't really have a Bible to speak of, where they could just go read the Bible. Most people probably didn't have that good of reading anyway, but to have a copy of Scripture itself was so rare. In fact, some kings had to live their whole kingship without having ready access to Scriptures. It's a fascinating fact. Now, having said that, there's a third element in play here, and that's the Jordan River. Remember, the Jordan River had been crossed by Israel by God turning it into dry land. That kind of miracle would have worked fine to find the axe head as well. But instead of turning it into dry land, this is one where it floats. The Jordan River is also important because of purification. It's where Naaman had to dip in the Jordan 7 times previous to this story, just to have his leprosy washed away. It's also where Elijah was swept up into heaven and left an extra portion of the Spirit for Elisha, the prophet, who's involved in this story. So you've got those 3 elements, and what does it mean? You put it all together, and it tells us God cares about even small things. Here's somebody who's trying to be a good steward, trying to be responsible. He's borrowed an expensive iron tool. He's trying to do what he thinks is important before God, and the iron tool gets lost. And his stewardship responsibility weighs heavy on his shoulders, and God comes to the rescue. And I love this because it tells me that I can bring to God my everyday concerns, even if it's something as small as having lost something that I needed to have. Think about it. What can you bring to God today? It's why I've made this everyday video thought for the day something about your everyday concerns. See you more tomorrow.